Hey guys, tonight we're going back, way back, to the center of the greatest empire the world had ever known. A city of stone and marble, of law and order, of roads that stretched farther than any eye could see. Tonight, you're in ancient Rome, during its golden age. There are no barbarians yet, no fires, no crumbling statues, just the calm hum of an empire at its peak. So before we begin, take a moment to relax, like the video if you enjoy stories like this, and let me know where you're listening from. Now dim the lights, let the day drift away, and welcome back to a very different world. The year is 121 AD. The emperor is Hadrian, the city around you is Rome, and the empire is whole. You wake to the sound of footsteps on stone, not loud, just enough to remind you that the world outside your window has already started moving. Your bed is simple, a wooden frame with a woven rope base, and a thin mattress stuffed with wool. You stretch slowly, careful not to disturb the man sleeping on the other side of the room. He rents the space next to yours. You know his name. You just don't use it often. The two of you share the room, but not your lives. The air is cool, the shutters are cracked, and morning light sneaks in through the slats. You hear the low call of a merchant in the street below. Someone sells dates today, or olives, or both. You sit up, pull your tunic over your head, and fasten your belt. You dip your hands into a basin of water near the door. It's leftover from last night. You splash your face. The water is cold. It wakes you. Outside, the insula is already alive. You live on the second floor of a tall apartment building. 4 stories of rented rooms, packed close. You pass a family on the stairs. The mother carries a loaf of bread. The father carries nothing. Their son stares at you, but says nothing. You nod. He doesn't nod back. The street is narrow and uneven, but paved. You step around a cart left out from the night before. A wheel is cracked. The shop it belongs to hasn't opened yet. You pass a dog sleeping near the wall. Its ribs move slowly with each breath. You do not stop. The Forum is farther than most care to walk in the early morning, but you walk it anyway. The road there is lined with shops already half open. Bakers slide loaves from deep ovens. The smell of warm flour and smoke drifts through the air. A woman sweeps the front of a wine shop, pausing every few moments to cough. You pass her in silence. At the corner, near the temple of Castor and Pollux, you hear a group of men debating, not angrily, just loud. Their hands move as fast as their voices. They speak of land, of taxes, of someone's cousin's vineyard. You don't follow every word, but it doesn't matter. The words are less important than the rhythm. Talking is a kind of habit here, almost a sport. You reach the edge of the Forum. The space opens up suddenly, like a clearing in a forest. Columns rise into the sky. Statues stand on pedestals like silent witnesses. The paving stones beneath your feet are warm already. A group of boys races past, laughing. A senator in a white toga walks slowly behind them, frowning. You find a spot near the edge, beside a fountain. The water flows from the mouth of a carved lion. You sit on the stone rim and pull a small piece of bread from your satchel. It is yesterday's bread. tough, but not impossible. You chew slowly, watching the light crawl across the marble. To your left, 2 men read from a scroll. To your right, a scribe sharpens his stylus with a sliver of bronze. You feel no rush, no need to speak. The city is awake now, and so are you. This is the capital of the empire, the center of laws, of armies, of roads that lead to names you've only heard in passing. Hispania, Syria, Britannia, Egyptus. But here, in this moment, the empire feels small, manageable, predictable. The stones under your feet have held thousands before you, and will hold thousands after. You finish your bread. The lion's mouth still pours water. You do not move yet. You rise from the fountain slowly. The stone has warmed beneath you. The lion's mouth still flows. The water is clean, cold, steady. You splash a little onto your neck before stepping away. No one notices. No one needs to. In Rome, small movements are part of the rhythm. You walk along the edge of the forum. Marble columns cast long shadows on the paving stones. Some buildings are painted, faded reds and ochres, with borders of dark blue. Others are bare stone, left to shine or dull in the light. The Senate building stands ahead, square, proud, and quiet. It looks more solid than it is. You've heard the debates inside are louder than they appear from here. The temple steps are swept clean. A priest moves slowly, brushing fallen leaves with a broom made of tied reeds. He pauses to adjust his robe, then resumes sweeping. You nod once as you pass. He doesn't look up. You don't expect him to. A few stalls are already open. Not the loud kind that shout prices. The quiet ones. A man sells ink and papyrus near the steps. A woman folds tunics carefully at her linen stall, smoothing each one with both hands. A pair of twins sit behind a table of small bronze figures, gods, emperors, and a few animals. They do not speak. They only watch. You walk slowly through the square. You pass men in white togas with red stripes. Magistrates, probably. Or scribes who want to be seen as magistrates. You pass a group of builders resting on a cart of bricks, eating olives from a shared bowl. One of them laughs too loudly. A crow startles from a ledge above and flaps away across the rooftops. A patrol of soldiers crosses the far end of the forum. Their armor shines where it's been polished. Their sandals strike the stones in unison. They carry short swords, but no one seems concerned. They're not here for trouble, just to remind everyone what order looks like. Beyond the square, the road splits. One way leads to the Subura, tight alleys, noise, and smoke. The other, toward the Palatine Hill. You choose neither. Not yet. You take the quieter street toward the aqueduct arches. You want to see the water. As you walk, the noise softens. The crowds thin. Houses grow taller, then shorter. You pass a wall, lined with ivy. A cat blinks at you from the sunlit top. You blink back. The aqueduct looms ahead. It rises above the rooftops, stone against sky. Wide arches carry channels of water over the city. You stand beneath one and look up. It hums, quietly, like a hollow wind passing through bone. The sound is constant, but barely there. A reminder that water is always coming, from mountains you've never seen, through tunnels you'll never walk, for people you'll never meet. The road curves near a bathhouse. Steam curls from a vent in the roof. You smell oil and hot brick. Someone inside is laughing. The bathhouse isn't open to you today. Not until evening. You pass it slowly. You imagine the rooms inside. Warm, crowded, humming with echoes and dripping stone. A boy runs past you carrying firewood. His tunic is too big. It drags behind him as he runs. A woman scolds him from a doorway. He doesn't stop. You watch him vanish into an alley. You turn back toward the form. The sun has risen high enough to shorten the shadows. The marble reflects the light in waves. You squint. You keep walking. A man calls out to you near the temple steps. He offers dates. Cheap. You shake your head. He doesn't press. He turns to the next passerby without a word. You buy bread instead, a round loaf with a stamped symbol pressed into the top. A wheat stalk and the letter S. The baker wraps it in cloth and hands it to you with a nod. You nod back. You say nothing. You tear off a piece as you walk. The bread is soft, dense, and slightly sour. Better than what you had yesterday. You chew slowly. You pass the same boys as before, now seated near a column, tossing stones between lines scratched into the dust. One of them sneezes. The others ignore him. You cross the square again. The fountain still flows. The lion's mouth never stops. You refill your flask. The water is colder now, drawn from a deeper below. It tastes clean. You drink, then cap it and tuck it away. You walk home a different way. The streets are slightly narrower, less polished. You pass shops with open fronts, a cobbler stitching sandals, a man shaping clay, a woman mixing pigment. Everyone is busy. No one is hurrying. The city moves at the speed of habit. You reach your building. The stairwell is quiet. A sandal has been left on a step. You step over it. Your door creaks as you open it. Inside, the air is warm and still. You sit on your stool and unwrap the bread. You eat more. You pour the last of your water into the basin. You wash your hands, then your face, then sit back and close your eyes. The sounds of the city float in from the open window. Wheels, voices, wind, and bells. You are home, and Rome is whole. The sun has moved again. Its light creeps across your floor in slow angles. Dust dances in the air where the light touches it. You sit quietly. You don't feel rushed. Rome does not rush unless commanded to, and today, no command has come. You rise from your stool and walk to the window. Below, the street continues its quiet rhythm. A fruit vendor pours water over a pile of figs. A child balances on one foot near the curb. A man adjusts the strap of his tunic, then continues walking. Nothing urgent, nothing strange. From above, a woman lowers a basket on a rope. It sways gently. She calls down for bread. The baker sees her, nods, and places a loaf into the basket. She pulls it back up, hand over hand, slowly. No coins change hands. Not yet. She will settle the account later. Everyone does. You leave your room again. The hallway smells of dust and old cloth. A jar has been knocked over. You step around the spilled lentils. At the stairwell, 2 boys are trading stones. One stone is black and polished. The other is shaped like a fish. Neither of them speaks. They just point, then nod. The stones change hands. You walk again, this time toward the Basilica Julia. You've passed it 100 times, but today you want to see it again. The streets are more crowded now. Midday presses on the city. Carts creak under the weight of grain sacks. A man argues with a mule. A woman holds a basket of lemons like it might tip the balance of the world. You reach the basilica as the bells chime once. The building is massive, long, open. Rows of tall columns line the edges. Inside, the air is cooler. You step into the shade and feel the temperature change at once. It is quiet here, not silent, just hushed. The floor is paved in stone, squares of white and gray in perfect lines. You walk along the edge, careful not to disturb a group of men sitting on the steps near the center. They wear simple tunics, but one of them holds a wax tablet. His finger traces lines across it, then smooths them over, notes, erased before they become memory. This is where law happens, quietly, without sword or flame. Disputes are heard, agreements made, arguments recorded. Not all are fair, but all are final. You watch a man rise and speak softly to a seated judge. His voice doesn't carry. The judge does not nod. He listens, then waves a hand. The man sits. That is all. You step back out into the light. The sun presses harder now. You shield your eyes for a moment, then walk east, toward the edge of the Capitoline Hill. From there, you can see farther. You take the long steps slowly. They rise in wide, shallow layers. A pigeon watches you from a ledge. Its feathers are missing in patches. At the top, you pause. Below you, the city stretches. Red roofs, marble courtyards, threads of smoke rising into a pale sky. You see domes, statues, the outlines of gardens between buildings, roads spread outward like lines on a map you can never fold. You rest against the stone railing. Behind you, the Temple of Jupiter rises. Its columns are cracked, but still upright. No one enters it today. A guard leans against the entrance, picking dirt from his sandal. He looks bored. You leave him alone. From this height, you notice something else. Farther away, in the hills beyond the river, some villas lie empty, roofs faded, courtyards overgrown. Not many, just a few, but enough to notice. You wonder why no one returned. You wonder when they left. You descend again, slowly, carefully. The heat softens as you move through shaded alleys. A fountain gurgles somewhere out of sight. A cart filled with clay jars blocks part of the path. You wait. The driver lifts one jar, sets it down again, then waves you through. You pass under a stone arch where ivy grows thick. A cat sleeps in the curve of a broken column. You reach the far side of the street. and find yourself near the archives. The building is closed, but you know the smell. Old parchment and dust. Stone shelves filled with scrolls, copied and recopied, edicts from emperors, decrees about taxes and roads, names carved into clay tablets, some going back hundreds of years. Few read them. Fewer still remember. A boy sweeps the steps. He pauses to wipe his forehead, then continues, one stroke at a time. The dust returns as fast as it leaves. He doesn't seem to mind. You head back toward your district. The road narrows. Shops fade. The noise changes. Less shouting. More talking. Less trade. More routine. You stop by a water trough and rinse your hands again. The water is cool. A woman beside you pours a pitcher carefully. She nods. You nod back. Nothing is said. Back home, the window is open. The air moves slowly. You sit near it. You unwrap the last of your bread and eat in silence. Somewhere in the city, someone is shouting, not in anger, just to be heard. You hear it, then forget it. The city swallows all sound eventually. The next morning comes without ceremony. No trumpet, no proclamation, just the slow shift of gray light through your shutters. You open your eyes to stillness. The air in the room is stale, warm already. You sit up and feel the stiffness in your back. Nothing sharp, just the usual ache that reminds you time moves whether you notice or not. You dress in the same tunic. It's thinner at the elbows now. The cloth fades more each month. You tie the same belt. The leather is cracked but holds. Your sandals are still by the door. You lift them slowly, checking the soles. One is splitting. You make a note to visit the cobbler. Not today, but soon. Outside, the hallway smells of old bread. Someone burned theirs. You step past the stain on the wall, where water once leaked. No one repaired it. The plaster just dried into a different color. A neighbor passes you on the stairs. He nods. You nod. Neither of you speaks. The street is quiet for morning. No shouting yet. Just the hollow clatter of hooves and the thud of carts over stone. You walk toward the grain office. Today is ration day. You carry your stamped token in your pocket. It's small, round, and cold. Bronze, with the emperor's profile pressed into it. You've carried it all week. The line outside the office is long, but not tense. People shift on their feet, murmur. One woman fans herself with a folded scrap of parchment. A boy sits against the wall, chewing something dry. You find your place and settle in. The man ahead of you smells of sweat and vinegar. The woman behind you hums under her breath. Time passes in small movements. A step forward, a sigh, a cough. Eventually, your turn arrives. You present your token. The clerk is tired. His eyes are red. He doesn't speak. He takes the token and hands you a slip, then points to the next window. There, a younger man hands you a sack. Not full, just enough. The grain inside is coarse, but clean. You nod. He doesn't look at you. You leave. You walk home a different way. Past the tanner's row, where the air thickens with sharp smells. Ash, salt, old skin. The workers wear cloths over their mouths. You do not stop. No one wants visitors here. You pass a tavern with no sign, just an open door and a few stools. Inside, men drink something dark and thin. One of them laughs, but it's a soft laugh, like something remembered more than felt. You keep walking. At the corner, a man sells boiled eggs. 2 for a coin. You buy one. It's warm. You eat it slowly while standing beneath an archway. A piece of shell sticks to your thumb. You flick it away. You continue walking. The roads are the same, but the people look tired, not broken, just used to something heavier than before. A woman argues with a seller over the weight of her meat. A man counts coins twice before handing them over. A child pulls at his mother's tunic, asking for something she doesn't have. You pass a building with scaffolding. A sign says it's under repair, but no one is working. The wood is gray, the ropes slack. You stop for a moment and look up. A piece of stone is missing near the roofline. Birds nest in the gap. You move on. You hear a voice reading aloud in the square. Someone reciting poetry. It's old Latin, flowery. The words drift through the air like smoke. A few people listen, most walk past. You stop for a moment, then continue. The words don't stay with you. At the fountain, the lion's mouth still flows, but the stream is thinner. You kneel to drink. The water is warm. You rinse your face, then sit on the stone edge and watch people cross the square. A magistrate passes with 2 guards. He holds a scroll. His sandals are clean. His cloak is bright red. You don't know his name. No one nods to him. No one speaks. Later, you return home. Your sack of grain rests on the table. You run your hand through it. The kernels feel dry. You light your lamp. The flame is weak. The oil is low. You decide not to refill it tonight. You boil water. Add a handful of grain. Let it simmer. The smell is plain. It fills the room without flavor. You eat slowly, watching the fire flicker. The spoon scrapes the side of the pot. The sound echoes too loudly in the small space. Afterward, you sit by the window. The city hums below. Softer now. The sky is deep blue. 1 star is visible. The wind shifts the curtain. You do not move. Somewhere far beyond the city walls, there are provinces with names you've heard, but never seen. Towns with the same ration lines, the same cracked sandals, the same quiet fatigue. The empire is vast, but tonight it feels smaller, and still the lion's mouth flows. Morning comes slowly. The light through your shutters is dull, not from clouds, just from the dust in the air. It floats in the beam across your floor, dancing like ash. You sit up. Your back cracks. Your eyes sting. You slept, but not well. You dress. The tunic hangs a little lower than it used to. The hem is fraying. You tie your belt tighter. Your sandals hold, but barely. You wash your face with what water remains in the basin. It's not cold. It's not fresh, but it is enough. In the hallway, you hear quiet voices. Someone is whispering about tax collectors. You don't stop. You don't ask. Everyone knows when they come. They don't shout. They knock once. They carry lists. You head toward the Office of Records, not for work, just to check your status. It's something people do more often now. The lists change. Names appear. Names disappear. A mistake once meant confusion. Now it can mean debt. The road there is dry. The stone cracked in places. A man pushes a wheelbarrow of bricks. The wheel wobbles. A small crowd stands around a posted notice. You do not read it. You already know what it says. Grain will be measured again. Taxes will be adjusted. Penalties will be enforced. You reach the office. The clerk is not the usual one. This one is younger, sharper. He does not smile. He takes your name, checks the list, nods. You are still registered, still compliant. You are not reassessed this month. You thank him. He does not respond. Outside, a woman weeps quietly on a bench. She clutches a scroll in both hands. Her mouth moves, but no sound comes. Her husband stands nearby, saying nothing. His shoulders are still. You pass without slowing. You walk toward the river. The air is clearer there. The market near the docks is louder. Fishermen unload crates of wet rope and dry fish. A boy chases a goose between barrels. Someone drops a basket. The figs scatter. A dog barks, then runs. The river itself moves slowly. Its surface is brown and wide. You sit near the edge, on a block of stone. Across the water, laundry hangs from lines between trees. A man washes his hands. Another pours out old wine. The city doesn't seem broken, just tired. The colors are fading. The statues are dirtier. The shops are quieter. The bread is smaller. But everything still works. Mostly. You hear a voice behind you. Familiar. An old friend. He once worked in the army records. Now he carries letters between offices. You greet each other without warmth, but with respect. He sits beside you. He talks about new fees, about shipments delayed at the gates, about coin shortages in distant towns. You listen. He does not complain. He just explains, the way a farmer might describe a cracked plow. It is what it is. He leaves after a while. You stay. You watch the river bend away from the city. You wonder where it ends. You've never followed it, only heard stories. Towns that pay Rome, roads that lead to Rome. All roads, always Rome. You walk back through the grain market. The prices have changed again. Not by much, but enough. A woman argues. A vendor shrugs. A man counts coins twice. A boy steals a fig and disappears. You return home with a small sack of lentils. The shopkeeper didn't speak. He only handed you the measure. You paid without question. There's little to question now. In your building, the stairwell is damp. Someone spilled oil near the railing. You avoid it. A neighbor's door is open. Inside, someone is sweeping slowly. The sound is soft, repetitive. You don't look in. In your room, the light has shifted. The air is close. You sit near the window and open it fully. A breeze comes, faint but cool. You pour water into a pot. Add the lentils. Stir once, then again. Then let it sit. You eat slowly. one spoon at a time. The taste is dull, but filling. You watch the light crawl across your wall. You hear a bell in the distance, then silence. Later, you write your name on the back of a clay tile, just in case. People have started doing that, quietly, without saying why. Outside, the wind carries dust down the road. A leaf rolls across the stone. A soldier passes by, alone. He doesn't look at anyone. No one looks at him. Somewhere, far from here, a battle is being fought, or lost, or never fought at all. You do not know. You only know your street, your shop, your door. The empire still stands. The laws are still posted. The statues still rise. But you count your coins twice now, and the lion's mouth flows a little slower. The mornings feel cooler now, not cold, just enough that your first breath reminds you it is autumn. The light outside is softer, the sky is pale. You rise slowly. Your blanket clings to your legs with the weight of old dust. You shake it loose. The floor is cold under your feet. You dress without thought. Tunic, belt, sandals. The same as yesterday. The same as the day before. The cloth smells of clay and oil. You open the shutters. The street is still quiet. A cart creaks past, carrying sacks of coal. The driver hums something without melody. You watch him turn the corner and disappear. You eat bread and lentils, the last of both. You chew slowly. You do not look at your coin purse. You already know what's inside. You leave your building and walk toward the upper forum. Today, the notice board will be changed. Once a week, a new list is posted. Announcements, edicts, military reports. Most people do not read them. Most people only glance. But today, you plan to stop. The forum is quiet. A few vendors set up slowly. One adjusts the tilt of a cloth canopy. Another arranges apples into careful rows. A boy sweeps dust from stone steps that will be covered again within the hour. You pass them all without a word. At the corner near the temple, a clerk posts a fresh sheet onto the wall. He uses wax to hold the corners in place. His hands are ink-stained. His eyes are sunken. When he finishes, he steps aside and vanishes into the crowd. You move closer. The words are clear. The letters sharp. Some names you recognize. Places you do not. There is mention of movement near the Rhine. A patrol has gone missing. A governor is requesting reinforcements. No official alarm. Just notes, observations, suggestions. But something in the way it's written holds you there longer than usual. Someone beside you mutters, "Again?" You do not look. You walk away. The rest of the forum feels unchanged. The same voices, the same sandals, the same rows of grapes and cloth and copper pots. But the sounds feel thinner, like something stretched. You pass a merchant who once sold spices. His stall is empty. A sign says he has traveled south. It does not say why. You keep walking. At the baths, fewer people sit outside. The water still flows. The steam still rises. But the laughter is quieter. A man sharpens a blade on a whetstone near the entrance. No one questions it. You sit near a fountain. The other one. Not the lion, but the smaller fish-shaped one near the statue of Mars. The water here trickles softly, You watch it pool at the base. A leaf floats on the surface, then sinks. Across the square, a group of men discuss taxes. Their voices rise and fall with practiced rhythm. One mentions barbarians. The others nod, but say little. You hear the words, but not the meaning. It feels like wind, near, but passing. You walk through the back streets to avoid the market crowd. The walls here are closer, the light dimmer. You see a soldier sitting on a broken crate, polishing his shield with a cloth that used to be white. His face is blank. His hands are careful. You nod as you pass. He doesn't look up. At the bakery, the loaves are smaller again. You choose one without asking the price. You hand over 2 coins. The baker counts them carefully, then hands the bread without a word. You carry it home in a cloth. The crust is hard, the scent faint. You save it for later, inside your room. The air is still. You sit near the window and unwrap the loaf. You tear off a piece and eat it without tasting. Then you watch the city. The rooftops are calm, the sky above them clear, but a bird circles in wide, low spirals, too low for comfort. You watch it until it flies beyond the buildings. You light your lamp early. The shadows feel longer today. You sit beside the flame and hold your cup of water. It is warm from the sun. You sip slowly. That evening, a bell rings once, then twice. An unusual pattern. You wait by your window. Nothing follows. The street remains quiet. You think about the notice, about the patrol that did not return, about the places you've never seen. You wonder how close they are. Outside, a wind rises, dry and steady. It moves dust along the street. It carries with it the scent of something distant. Smoke, maybe, or iron. You close your shutters, but not tightly, just enough to see. The lion's mouth still flows, but tonight, it sounds different. You wake before the sun. The air feels wrong, not cold, not hot, just still, as if the city holds its breath. You sit in the dark for a while. The room is quiet. No carts yet, no footsteps. Just the sound of your own breathing and the faint trickle from the street fountain, always there in the distance. You dress slowly. Your fingers move without thought. Tunic, belt, sandals. The cloth feels heavier than usual, or maybe you feel lighter. You tie the knot twice before it holds. Outside, the sky is a narrow gray. The streets are half lit. A few lamps still burn, flickering near doorways. A man sweeps ash from his threshold. His face is blank. His broom moves in steady lines. You walk toward the lower market, near the river. It's where news travels first. You pass a group of men standing in a circle. Their backs are tense. One of them holds a scroll, unopened. No one reads it aloud. You keep walking. At the edge of the square, you see the same old vendor with the figs. His stall is smaller now. He nods at you, but doesn't speak. You buy a handful. The fruit is soft, overripe. He drops them into your cloth without counting. Near the docks, a soldier stands guard, alone. His armor is dull. He rests one hand on the hilt of his blade, not tightly, more like he's remembering it's there. You watch him for a moment. He shifts his weight and looks away. You stop at the tavern near the arch. You've passed it many times, never entered. Today, the door is open wide. Inside, the air is heavy with oil and sour wine. A few men sit at the long table, not drinking, just sitting. One holds his cup with both hands. Another stares at the floor. No one talks. You leave without going in. As you walk back through the alleys, you hear whispers. Not words, just the tone. The kind of sound people make when trying not to be overheard. You hear goths. You hear north. You hear close. You do not stop walking. In the forum, the usual crowd is thinner. Fewer merchants. Fewer guards. The notice board is bare. Someone tore the sheet away. Only the wax stains remain. You sit by the fountain. The water still flows, but there's a smell to it now. Faint, metallic. A bird lands on the edge, drinks, then flies off fast. A man sits beside you. You do not know him. He carries a wrapped bundle and wears travel boots. Dust clings to the folds of his cloak. You say nothing. He says nothing. But he breathes like someone who has run far. After a while, he stands. He does not look back. Later, a boy runs through the square shouting something. Not playing, shouting. His voice cracks. No one chases him. He disappears into the alleys. You walk back toward the upper forum. The streets feel off. Shops are open, but the windows are covered. A butcher sharpens his knives in silence. A woman counts coins with trembling fingers. A priest closes a gate that usually stays open all day. You pass a man you once knew from the bathhouse. He nods, but does not stop. He carries a satchel and looks behind him twice as he walks. You pause beneath the arches near the archives. The doors are closed. A wax seal has been pressed across the handles. No sign, just the seal. You don't recognize it. You find yourself heading home earlier than usual. The shadows are already long, the streets more empty than they should be. Somewhere, far off, a horn sounds. One short note, then nothing. At your door, you stop. You listen. Nothing stirs in the stairwell. No voices, no footsteps, only the creak of old wood and the soft groan of stone settling. Inside, you light your lamp early. You pull the shutters closed, but not fully. The air inside is thick. You place your figs on the table. One is already spoiled. You sit beside the window and listen. The wind moves through the narrow streets, like it's carrying something with it. Words, warnings, or maybe just silence, sharpened by distance. You think of the river, of the roads beyond it, of villages with names you've only seen on lists, of forests beyond those, and people within them, not Roman, not written. The empire has always had edges, but now the edges move. You close your eyes. You open them again. The lion's mouth still flows, but fewer come to drink. You wake to footsteps in the hallway, not hurried, not soft, just strange. You sit up and listen. A door opens. A voice murmurs. Then silence. You rise slowly. The shutters are half open. The light is pale. You wash your face with stale water. You don't feel hunger. You dress without thinking. Your sandals feel loose. You tie them tighter. In the stairwell, someone has left a bundle. Cloth, tied in rope. It smells of herbs and ash. You don't touch it. You step over it and descend. Outside, the street is quiet, but not still. People move without speaking. They carry bundles, jugs, scrolls. Some walk in groups, others alone. Most do not look up. You walk toward the outer market. A shop you passed yesterday is empty today. Its door hangs open. Inside, shelves are bare. A clay jar lies shattered across the floor. You keep walking. A guard stands at the corner, but he is not in uniform. He leans against the wall, eyes closed. You think he is asleep, or pretending. The baker's stall is closed. A chalk sign reads, "Tomorrow." But no one believes it. You turn away. At the well, a woman fills a jug. Her hands shake. She whispers to the child beside her, but the child does not respond. The child stares at the wall behind you. You do not look. You pass a messenger. His satchel is open. Scrolls spill from it. He tries to gather them, but the wind lifts one and carries it down the street. He does not chase it. You reach the edge of the city, near the southern gate. A group stands by the arch. Some wear cloaks. Others carry tools. A donkey brays softly. The gate is closed. A man argues with the guard. His voice rises. The guard holds out a hand. No one moves. No one opens the gate. You turn back. In the square, someone reads from a scroll. His voice is steady, but the words are strange. He names places, mentions movements, then stumbles, skips a line, starts again. The crowd doesn't listen. Most already walked away. You sit by the fountain, the small one, shaped like a fish. The water trickles, but the basin is half filled with leaves. You clear a space and sit. A woman sits nearby, combing her hair with her fingers. Her sandals are new. Her dress is clean, but her face is drawn. She stares at nothing. She leaves before you do. You stand and walk toward the records office. The door is locked. A seal again, but this one is smeared, melted. You knock once. No answer. You do not knock again. You take the long way back, through alleys that twist between homes. Laundry still hangs from the windows. One cloth flaps loose, then falls. It lands in dust. No one picks it up. A dog barks in the distance. Another answers. Then silence again. You stop at the bench near the old basilica. You once came here often. It's where deals were made, where law was spoken. Now, the doors are shut. 2 guards stand near them. They do not stop you, but they do not speak. One of them watches the sky. You do too. It is empty. A boy runs past, barefoot. He carries a scroll, but doesn't look where he's going. He disappears into the shadow of a column. You do not follow. You buy bread from a man selling out of a cart. The loaf is hard, the crust cracked. He takes the coin without counting. You nod. He nods. The cart is nearly empty. You carry the bread in your sleeve. It is warm from the sun, not the oven. At home, The window is open. The breeze carries dust. You sit and eat half the loaf. It scratches your throat. You drink water that tastes of clay. You lie back on the floor. The ceiling above you is cracked. You've never noticed the pattern before. It looks like a tree, or a river, or a map. You close your eyes. When you open them, the light has changed. Evening. Again. You rise and walk to the window. The street is not silent, but it is slow. People move like shadows. A man carries a crate. A woman holds a candle, though the sun has not yet set. You hear a voice calling names, not loudly, just loud enough to remind you someone still keeps a list. You light your lamp. The oil is low. The flame flickers. You watch it. You do not know where the patrols are. You do not know if the border still holds. You do not know how far the others have come. But you feel it. In the empty shelves. In the closed doors. In the slow voice reading from a broken scroll. The lion's mouth still flows. But the water tastes different now. The field stretches in all directions. Dry earth. Pale stalks. Rows that once stood proud, now sag beneath the sun. The wind carries dust across your ankles. The sky above is wide and empty. You bend slowly. Your knees ache. Your fingers find weeds faster than grain. You pull them anyway. It's what you've always done. You do not know what else to do. Behind you, your son stacks kindling. His shoulders are thin. His tunic hangs loose. He doesn't speak unless you ask. Today, he hasn't said a word. The house stands at the edge of the field. A single room. A roof patched with clay and reed. The door swings on one hinge. A crack runs across the threshold. You step over it without noticing. Inside, your wife stirs a pot over a low flame. Lentils again. The last of them. She looks up when you enter. You nod. She doesn't speak. You sit by the small window. The wind rattles the shutters. A bird lands on the sill, then flies off. You watch the horizon. Trees far away. Then hills. Then nothing. You once saw soldiers ride across that road. Their armor shone. Their boots were new. Their faces unreadable. That was months ago. Maybe longer. Now, the road is empty. You eat in silence. The stew is thin, but warm. Your son takes a second bowl. You let him. You drink from a cracked cup. The water is warm. Your wife says the well is lower this week. You nod again. After the meal, you step outside. The air is dry. The sun hangs low. You check the fence around the goats. 2 posts are leaning. You press them into the soil with your foot. It holds. For now. The neighbors left last week. Left the tools. Left the cart. Took their blankets. Said nothing. Just walked north. You watched them until they vanished beyond the trees. No one comes from the town anymore. No messengers. No collectors. No priests. The road still leads there, but it's quieter now. Fewer birds. Fewer wheels. You remember a story once told in the square. About walls. Strong ones. About borders that could not be crossed. About people beyond them. Wild and strange. Now, the walls are words and the words don't reach here. You sharpen a blade that's already thin. The edge chips. You pass it over stone again. The sound is soft, steady, like breath. At dusk, a light flickers near the old mill. You see it through the trees. 1, then 2, then gone. You say nothing. You do not check. Inside, your wife has lit a lamp. She oils the wick with care. The flame is low but steady. Your son sleeps on the floor, his arms curled beneath him. You sit. You listen. The night is not silent. Insects hum. Wood creaks. The wind shifts. A dog barks far off, then stops. You dream of wheat, of full sacks, of voices in the street, of silver coins and strong walls. You wake to dry air and creaking beams. The next morning, you rise early. The sky is flat and gray. Your wife hands you bread. Hard. From yesterday. You thank her. You carry a pail to the well. The rope strains. The water is low. You pull slowly. The wood groans. You pour a little into a clay jar. Save the rest. At the edge of the field, you find a broken arrow. Not yours. Not old. You bury it in the soil without a word. You finish the day the same way you began. Bent low, hands in the dirt, pulling weeds that will grow again tomorrow. Watching the road, waiting for something that no longer comes. You hear a sound that night. Not near, not far. Metal, maybe, or hooves, or branches breaking. You blow out the lamp before the oil runs dry. You lie on the floor beside your son. Your wife does not sleep, and still. The wind moves through the trees, but no one rides from the city. The post sits on a low hill above the river. It is made of stone, wood, and silence. The walls lean inward. The watchtower sways in the wind. The gate creaks when it moves. No one fixes it. You wake before the light. You rise slowly. Your back aches. You stretch your legs, roll your shoulders. The bed is a plank with a thin blanket. You fold it neatly and leave it behind. Outside, the air is sharp. The grass is stiff with frost. You pull your cloak tighter. The wind bites at your hands. You walk the wall. 3 others are awake. No one speaks. One stands with arms crossed. One cleans the edge of a spear. One stares at the trees. You nod to each. They nod back. In the yard, the fire has burned low. A pile of ash glows beneath the black wood. You stir it once, then let it die. You break your fast with cold bread and dried meat. It tastes of dust and iron. A jug of water is passed between hands. It is heavy with dirt. No one complains. The captain emerges last. His armor is dull. His beard is uneven. He speaks few words. He marks the list. He checks the gate, then disappears. A messenger was expected last week. None came. Another was sent to find him. He did not return. You remember when this post held 50 men. Now there are 17. The river below runs slow. The ice has not yet formed. Deer come to drink near dawn. The birds have left. You watch the tree line. Always the tree line. Once, patrols moved daily. Now they march twice a week. Fewer scouts. fewer orders, fewer reasons. You sit by the south wall, with a whetstone in your blade. The edge is worn. You drag it across the stone, slow and even. The sound is steady. It calms you. A boy approaches. Young. Too young. His armor does not fit. He asks about the spear racks. You point. He nods, then leaves. You do not ask his name. You do not remember if he gave it. Later, the wind rises. A shutter bangs against the tower. Someone climbs up to fix it. A rope breaks. The shutter falls. No one moves to replace it. You take your shift at the gate. The woods beyond are quiet. The road is empty, but the silence is not clean. It feels like breath held too long. You think of Rome, of the city you saw only once. The crowds, the noise, the stone buildings so tall you could not see their tops. You wonder if they still stand. You think of the last message. It spoke of caution, of waiting, of evaluating risk. It did not say when supplies would come. At midday, a man arrives, alone. He carries a letter sealed with no crest. His hands shake. His feet bleed. He speaks little. The captain reads the letter twice, then burns it. That night, no one lights the courtyard fire. The cold settles in the bones. You sit by the gate, wrapped in your cloak. You listen to the trees. There are sounds, not clear, but there. You do not sleep. In the morning, the captain speaks. He tells you the province is unstable, that orders will be delayed, that no reinforcements are expected, that the border must hold. He says it without feeling. You return to your post. You watch the trees again. You mark a shadow that does not move like branches should. You blink. It is gone. At dusk, a rider appears on the far hill. He does not wave. He does not approach. He waits, then turns away. The boy asks if that was one of ours. You say nothing. The walls are quiet that night. The lamps are not lit. Someone sharpens steel in the dark. And beyond the river, the wind carries a howl that does not belong to wolves. The form is quieter now, not empty, just thinner. The steps are dusty, the stalls more spaced, the voices softer. A dog lies under a broken bench. It watches the crowd without blinking. You pass through like always. Same tunic, same sandals, same walk. But your eyes move more now. You count closed shops. You mark faces you do not recognize. The notice board is blank again. Not scraped, not replaced, just blank. A strip of wax remains in one corner, hardened and pale. You stop in front of it for a while. Then you move on. Near the statue of Minerva, a speaker calls for calm. He speaks clearly, slowly. His hands never rise. He says things are under control. He says soldiers guard the borders. He says Rome is strong. No one claps. No one argues. Most simply walk past. You sit by the fountain, the same one, the fish-shaped one. The water flows, but slower now. A dark ring forms at the bottom of the basin. You watch it for a long time. Beside you, two men speak of coins. One says the silver is thinner this year. The other shows a denarius. and bends it with his teeth. They do not sound angry, just tired. A woman passes with a basket of figs. The fruit is shriveled. She does not offer them to anyone. You walk toward the upper temple district. The priesthood remains, robed, clean, composed. Incense burns at the steps, but fewer stop to bow. The prayers sound hollow, like reciting a list. A man begs outside the shrine. His hand is out. His eyes are closed. His lips move in silence. You leave a coin, though you do not know if it will help. You stop at a shop that once sold scrolls. The shelves are empty. The door is open. A boy sweeps dust into the street. He does not look at you. You pass a fountain where pigeons gather. One drinks, then limps away. The others watch. None fly. At the edge of the market, a merchant closes early. He folds his canopy and ties it with rope. His eyes dart. His hands shake. When asked why, he says, "Storms." But the sky is clear. You return home by the long road, past the basilica, past the dry well, past the gate that no longer has a guard. Inside your room, the air feels still. You light the lamp early. The wick flares, then shrinks. You watch the flame steady itself. You eat bread and cheese. The crust is stale. The cheese has spots. You scrape them off and eat it anyway. You stare out the window. The street is not silent, but it speaks in sighs. Footsteps, the rustle of cloth, the creak of shutters closing. Somewhere, a child cries, then stops. You remember how it felt, once, to believe things would return to normal, that someone would arrive, that someone would say the right words. Now, it feels strange to think that way. You do not feel fear, just space, a kind of wide, slow emptiness. You dream of a gate that opens to nothing, a field with no center, a city with no names. When you wake, you feel rested, but the dream remains. You wash your face in silence. You watch the water fall into the basin. You count each drop until they stop. Outside, the city breathes. It does not run. It does not fight. It just breathes. Slow, long, heavy. You walk toward the Forum again, but stop at the corner. You look back. You look forward. You turn down a different street. The stones are cracked. The buildings lean. A cat watches you from a windowsill. Its eyes do not blink. You walk until you reach a wall you've never touched before. You place your hand on the stone. It is warm. You wonder how long it has stood, how long it will. You do not find an answer. The city wakes slower now. Doors open later. Shops stay closed longer. The sounds of morning, carts, shouts, sandals on stone, are softer, as if people try not to disturb something they cannot name. You walk the eastern path, past the broken sundial. Its shadow lies across the wrong hour. No one bothers to correct it. At the corner near the bathhouse, a family stands beside a wagon, blankets folded, jars packed. No armor, no banners, just rope, cloth, silence. They do not say goodbye to anyone. They leave before the sun rises. You pass a shrine that once held candles. The base is blackened. The offering plate is gone. A pigeon rests in the empty space. It does not move. The bathhouse is quieter, fewer voices. The steam hangs heavier. A man coughs once, then leaves. No one takes his place. You sit on the edge of the basin. The water is warm. You do not enter. A child plays near the far wall, drawing lines in the condensation. The lines fade as quickly as they form. Outside, the sky is clear. The statues cast long shadows. You walk toward the archive steps. The doors are closed. The columns cracked. One has rope wrapped around its base. A weak repair. A guard once stood here. Now there is none. You stop near the old bronze map of the empire. Cities marked in iron. Roads etched in deep lines. But the surface is worn. Whole names are unreadable. Whole regions have no shine left. You trace your finger along the route to Gaul. You remember the man who once claimed he rode the full path. He told the story with a proud voice and wine on his breath. You do not see him anymore. You sit near the old basilica. The steps are warm from the sun. A group of children chase each other across the square. Their feet raise dust. A woman shouts for them to stop. They don't. A priest walks past with his head low. He carries no scroll. He does not bless anyone. He moves like someone who is not sure where to go. Later, at the market, the stalls have changed. More cloth, fewer spices, more ropes, fewer scrolls. The fish vendor sells empty crates. The olive seller is gone. A man offers you salt from a cracked jar. You decline. He shrugs and moves on. You pass a painter packing his tools. He covers the frescoes with linen. When asked why, he says nothing. His hands keep moving. At the well, 3 women fill jugs. One says her sister left for the hills. Another says the priest stopped prayers yesterday. The third says nothing at all. You do not ask questions. You fill your own jug and carry it home. Inside, your room smells of dry stone. The shutters creak. The floor is cool. You place the jug on the table. You sit beside it. You listen. Voices pass below your window. Not loud, just steady. Someone mentions north. Someone says gone. Then silence. You light your lamp. The flame is weak. The oil settles unevenly. You remember letters once read aloud. Orders, news, declarations. Now, the messages come late, or not at all. The scroll keepers are fewer, the stamps less clear. You think of the word citizen, how it once felt solid, how it now feels soft, like something spoken from a distant room. You eat slowly, a piece of bread, some boiled grain, a fig that has grown too sweet. You chew it all the same. At night, you walk the narrow path to the gate. Not far, just to see. You pass 3 empty carts. No horses, just wheels resting in dust. A man leans against a pillar. He nods to you. You nod back. Neither of you speaks. The moon rises without noise. The stones reflect its light. The towers look smaller in the dark. You stay there longer than usual. When you return, you do not bolt the door. You just close it. Gently. You lie on the floor. The ceiling above you is still. You hear no birds, no bells, just the sound of your breath and the faint creak of the city turning in its sleep. The village lies beyond the hills. Its name was once Latin. Now it sounds different when spoken aloud. The letters remain, carved into stone near the well, but moss covers half of them. You arrive just after sunrise. A narrow road leads past broken markers. The trees arch overhead. Birds call to each other across the path. You hear water, slow and shallow. At the edge of the village, a boy tends to goats. He does not look up. He whistles once, and the goats turn as one. You pass homes built of wood and stone, roofs patched with straw, doors hung with cloth. Smoke rises from 3 chimneys. The air smells of ash and boiled roots. You greet a man stacking firewood. He nods. His tunic is plain, dyed with earth. He asks where you're from. When you answer Rome, he blinks, then says, "Far." You sit on a bench near the square. It is not a forum. There are no statues, but people gather here. They trade jars for grain. They mend nets. They speak in low tones. A woman sells dried apples. You buy 3. They are tough, but sweet. She says her father once traveled to Carthago. She says it like a dream, like something out of reach. The village elder walks with a cane. His robe is patched at the knees. He meets with 3 others under the shade of a crooked tree. They speak of wood, rain, and wolves. You hear no Latin among them, just traces, echoes in the way they count, in the words they use for stone and road, but not for power. You find a bench near the well. The stone is cracked. The pulley sticks. A girl lowers a bucket with both hands. It splashes. She laughs. The water is clean. Someone has carved a bird into the wall behind the well. The wings stretch wide, but the head is worn away. No one speaks of it. At midday, the sun warms the square. A man sharpens a blade on a flat stone. A child plays with a piece of glass. A woman brushes a tunic with a bunch of herbs. You see no soldiers. You hear no orders. The only writing is carved into wood above the grain store. It marks how much is owed, how much is given. The marks are simple, like tallies. A man asks if you carry coins. You show them. He takes one, squints, then laughs. He points at the head on the coin. "Emperor?" he asks, then shakes his head. You ask who rules here. He shrugs. He names the elder, then another name, then adds, "The hills answer last." You spend the evening near the river. The water moves slow. Stones line the shore. Someone has stacked 7 of them, flat and even. No one claims them. No one knocks them down. The stars rise early. The village glows with oil lamps and firelight. The air cools quickly. People eat together. Bread, roots, dried meat. A woman sings, but not loudly. You sleep in the corner of a barn. The hay is dry. The roof leaks a little. The wind smells of earth. You dream of wide roads and banners, of iron gates and marble floors. When you wake, you feel both full and hollow. You leave before dawn. The sky is deep blue. The goats are already walking. The elder nods at you once. That is all. You walk back down the path. past the bird carved in stone, past the boy with the goats, past the road that no longer points to Rome, just away from it. You do not feel lost, only far. The road once carried messengers. Now it carries dust. Stones that once fit tight now shift underfoot. Grass grows between them. In some places, trees lean across the path. In others, the path disappears. You walk with care, a satchel on your back, scrolls inside, most unread, some outdated. You do not know which. You used to travel in pairs. Now you walk alone. Fewer outposts remain. Fewer requests for news. Fewer people to read it. You pass a milestone. The number is worn smooth. The letters below have chipped away. You run your hand across it. The stone is cold. Ahead, a bridge crosses a dry stream. The arch is cracked but holds. On the far side, a shrine has collapsed. You step around the rubble. A piece of the old emblem lies half buried in the grass. A hawk circles above. You pause to watch it. The air smells of pine. By midday, you reach an abandoned checkpoint. The walls lean. The watch platform has collapsed. You find a bench still intact. You sit and unwrap your bread. Inside the checkpoint, ledgers rot in the damp. One scroll names towns you do not recognize. One lists soldiers, ranks, dates, injuries. The ink has run. The corners curl. You place your own scroll beside them. No one may read it, but you do it anyway. You sleep beside the wall. In the morning, the mist clings low. You light a torch and walk on. The road narrows. At the next village, a man greets you with suspicion. He asks where you're from. You say south. He asks if the emperor is dead. You do not know. You offer him a message. He does not take it. He says the elder cannot read. He says the elder left 2 winters ago. You leave the scroll on a table beside the well. The paper curls in the wind. Children follow you out of town. They laugh at your boots, at your pack. One asks what a senator is. You do not answer. That night, you rest near a broken aqueduct. Water used to flow here. Now birds nest between the stones. One sings a song with no melody. It sounds like crying. You remember when riders galloped these roads, when roads had names, when names had weight. Now, even the maps fade. You carry one map. It shows roads, rivers, towns, forts. But many are crossed out, others circled in red, some with question marks, some with no marks at all. You update it with a piece of charcoal. You cross out another name. You add a line where a path has formed. It does not feel like lying, just changing. A week passes, then another. You reach a fort with no gate. Inside, 2 men sit by a fire. One wears Roman armor, rusted and open at the chest. He asks for news. You hand him 3 scrolls. He hands you bread in return. They speak of wolves, of raids, of crops. They do not mention law. You do not stay long. Your sandals wear thin. You patch them with cloth. You walk slower. Your satchel is lighter. You carry fewer scrolls. You send fewer letters. In one town, No one knows Latin. In another, no one cares. You pass a statue toppled onto its side. Moss climbs its back. The face is cracked. One arm is buried. You sit beside it. You whisper a report into the wind. You say the roads are quiet. You say the names are fading. You say the words still reach some ears, but not enough. The palace is smaller than it feels. The walls are tall, but thin. The marble is chipped at the corners. The guards do not march. They wait. A boy stands at the center. His robe is too large. His sandals scrape the floor. A crown rests on his head. It does not shine. His name is Romulus. His title is Emperor. He reads from a scroll. The words tremble. He mispronounces half. No one corrects him. The hall is mostly empty. A man stands behind him. Older, quiet, dressed in dark cloth. He whispers. The boy nods, then speaks again. Outside the hall, courtiers wait in silence. They speak in pairs. They glance at doors. They watch the shadows. No one meets the boy's eyes when he passes. The throne room has no crowd, just chairs that once held governors, priests, envoys. Now, dust claims the backs. One chair has collapsed. No one replaces it. A curtain flutters near the window. A dove lands on the ledge, then leaves. Messages arrive slowly, some unopened, some with broken seals. One bears no signature. Another is written on reused parchment. The boy signs what he is told. He asks where Gaul is. No one answers. He trains with a wooden sword in the garden. His arms are thin. His stance is awkward. The instructor claps once, then stops. He eats alone. A fig, some olives, bread too white. He picks at it. A servant watches. The boy asks what day it is. The servant bows, then leaves. At night, he walks the halls. Lamps flicker on stone. His feet echo. He pauses by the statue of Augustus. The nose has chipped. The eyes are blank. He touches the base with one finger. The stone is cold. In the morning, a rider arrives. His cloak is torn. His face is red with dust. He kneels before the boy, then speaks without raising his eyes. The boy listens, then looks away. The provinces are gone. Not all, but many. Some still claim loyalty. Some offer silence. Some send back new names, new seals, new words. The boy repeats the words to himself. They do not sound Roman. The Senate meets once a week. Fewer attend. They argue about grain, about lamps, about rain. No one speaks of conquest. The boy watches from behind a curtain. He listens. He does not speak. He chews a date and holds the stone between his fingers. That night, thunder rolls across the hills. Rain soaks the gardens. A tree near the south wall falls. The branches crush the marble path. No one clears it. The boy sleeps little. He dreams of temples, of fire, of voices shouting names he does not know. He wakes with dry lips and wet eyes. One morning, he finds a note left on his desk. A single line. The eagle no longer flies. No signature. No seal. He reads it 3 times, then burns it. He stands at the balcony. Below, the city moves, but slower. Fewer carts. Fewer songs, fewer banners. A dog barks. Then silence. He wonders if anyone still believes. If the name Rome still means anything beyond the stone beneath his feet. He asks a servant what the people say. The servant replies, "They wait." "For what?" the boy asks. The servant says nothing. The next day, a bishop visits. He blesses the halls. He speaks of faith, of endurance, of heavenly order. The boy nods. He asks no questions. He walks to the edge of the garden. The tree still lies across the path. He steps over it. The birds have left the fig tree. The statues are streaked with green. A page arrives with news. Another city has chosen its own ruler, not with rebellion, just with distance. The boy writes no reply. He stares at the map on the wall. The ink has faded. The edges curl. One province has been marked out with an X. He picks up a quill. He hesitates, then places it down. The halls grow quieter. The crown feels heavier. The word emperor no longer echoes. 10 years pass. The streets of Rome are quiet, not silent, but softer. The sound of sandals has changed. Fewer boots, more bare feet. Children play in the forum. They use sticks as swords. One wears a broken helmet found behind a collapsed column. He calls himself king, not emperor. No one laughs. The market still stands. Fewer stalls, more barter. Cloth for grain, iron for salt. Coins are rare. Some still trade them, but no one trusts their value. A man sells figs from a cart. He says they grow sweeter now. Less smoke in the air, less shouting in the streets. He says the city is resting. A temple roof collapses after rain. The priests move their altar to the garden. They light candles and pray to silence. The people still bow, but not always. The Senate hall is sealed. Ivy climbs its pillars. A bird nests where the crest once hung. 50 years pass. The streets are narrower. The stones have shifted. New paths wind between old marble. A man builds his home beside a broken wall. He says the stone is strong. A woman uses an old column as a drying post for herbs. She does not know what it once held. The aqueducts stand like bones. Empty. Quiet. Some say spirits move through them at night. Others say they were built by giants. The fountains are dry. Children toss pebbles into them. No one remembers their names. The palace is overgrown. Trees grow through windows. A goat sleeps in the old dining hall. The crown was taken long ago. No one looks for it. Books rot in basements. Scrolls feed fires. One boy finds a tablet with scratched letters. He asks what it means. His grandfather shrugs. The language remains, but fewer speak it well. Words change. Endings blur. Letters drop. One priest still chants in Latin, but fewer understand him. His voice trembles. His hands shake. He says the words anyway. 100 years pass. The city is no longer called Rome. Not by most. A new name takes root. Shorter. Softer. Travelers pass through. They say it is cursed. They say it is blessed. They say nothing. Most do not stay. The old roads crack and fade. Grass grows over the stones. One path remains. Narrow. well-trodden. It leads to a chapel built from temple rubble. The priest speaks of salvation, not empire. He wears white, not purple. The people kneel, not salute. A boy tends sheep on the hill above the city. He finds a statue buried to its shoulders. He touches its face, asks no questions. A woman washes clothes in the river. She sings a song passed from her grandmother. The words are soft. The meaning is lost. The map of the world has changed. Rome is a name in old books, a whisper in sermons, a puzzle in dreams. The stars are the same, but no one charts them in Roman time. The bells that once rang for emperors now ring for saints, and the city breathes, not as a capital, not as a power, but as a place where people wake, walk, eat, and sleep. The wind moves through the broken halls. The sun warms fallen columns, and in the silence between footsteps, the stones remember, even when no one else does. The empire ends, but not everything falls. Some things remain. The roads still stretch across the land, cracked, overgrown, but there. Farmers use them, traders follow them. Monks walk them with quiet steps. No one calls them Roman, but they still lead. The bridges hold. The arches stand. Travelers rest beneath them. They do not know the names of the men who built them, but they trust the stone. The walls remain, though cities change. Some are patched, others left open. Moss grows between the bricks. Children draw symbols on them, the shape of a shield, the shape of a sun. In the hills, shepherds live in villas with broken mosaics, blue tiles, gold fragments, faces of gods they no longer name. They place blankets over the floors. The past lies beneath their feet. Language changes slowly. Latin lingers. At first, it remains in letters, in prayers, in records scratched onto bark or scratched into wax. Later, it becomes the root of other tongues, bent, softened, broken, but still there. In taverns, people count in Latin numbers, not always correctly, but clearly. In villages, they say aqua when they want water, terra when they mean land. The priest says amen at the end of each blessing. He speaks from a book with curled pages and a cracked spine. The children repeat the sounds, not knowing what they mean, but knowing they matter. In the monasteries, monks copy words they barely understand. The letters are clear. The meaning is not. Still, they write, scroll after scroll, line after line. One writes a law from old Rome. He adds a note beside it, a correction, a guess, a question. His ink fades, but his hand stays steady. Laws survive. Some are memorized. Some rewritten in new tongues. Some passed down as custom, villages say. This is how it has always been. But the shape of the rule is Roman. Who owns what? Who can speak? Who can marry? Who must pay? The words change. The idea stays. The calendar turns. New holidays appear, but others remain. Solstice, harvest, midwinter. The dates shift slightly, but the rhythm is familiar. And then, the church. It grows in the gaps. Where governors once stood, now stand bishops. Where armies marched, now walk pilgrims. The cross replaces the eagle, the robe replaces the sword. But order remains. The church keeps records, names, births, land, promises. It speaks Latin long after others forget. In the chapel, a boy lights a candle. He sees saints where his great-grandfather saw gods, but the pillars are the same. The ceiling curves in the same way. The light falls in the same pattern. Faith survives, but it transforms. It absorbs. It wears old robes in new ways, and the people adapt. A man uses Roman bricks to build a barn. A woman wears a brooch passed down from her grandmother's grandmother. No one knows it once held a senator's cloak, but they treasure it. And still, the stories, told at night, near fire, with soft voices, they speak of a city of marble, of men in golden armor, of roads that never ended, of baths that steamed, of markets filled with dates and honey, of a people who once ruled the world. Some laugh, some listen, some believe. Others say the stories are too old to be real, but still, they are told. The echo of Rome lives not in power, but in memory, in habits, in shapes, in words. It does not need armies. It does not need a crown. It only needs time. And time, still, walks on Roman roads. The sun rises over the stones. Not new stones, old ones, large, smooth, cracked, once carved, once placed with care, now scattered. Some lie flat, some lean against trees, some hold up the corners of huts. The village sits in the shell of what was once a town. A wall, half standing, surrounds it. Vines curl along the top. Birds rest between the gaps. The people call it the ring. They do not know who built it. A family lives in a house made of brick and ash. The floor is tile, worn smooth. Beneath the table, an image of a fish remains. No one mentions it. Each morning, the father walks to the field. He passes broken columns. He uses a Roman hoe passed from his father. The handle is new. The blade is old, stained with time. The soil is dry. He digs slow. Wheat grows in lines. Weeds grow between them. The mother washes clothes in a basin once used for bathing. The pipes no longer flow. She carries water from the river. A piece of marble rests beneath the basin, carved with leaves, maybe laurel. She does not look at it. Children play near a toppled statue. Only the legs remain. They tie ropes around the ankles and pretend it is a horse. One child calls it the giant. At noon, the family eats bread, onions, beans, sometimes figs. The bowl they pass is chipped, once part of a fine set, now one of a kind. No one speaks of Rome, not by name. They speak of before, of the ones who built things, of the time of roads. When the child asks why the roads go so far, the father shrugs. That's how they made them. The chapel stands on a hill. It is small, built from stone gathered nearby. Temple stone, arch stone, wall stone. The cross is wooden. The altar is brick. The priest speaks softly. He tells them of saints, of trials, of light. He wears a robe once dyed purple, now faded to gray. He does not know it was once a senator's cloth. At the back of the chapel, a window of colored glass remains. One piece, blue. It catches the sun for one moment each morning. The children wait for it. Just a flicker. In the evenings, the village gathers. A fire is lit. Stories are told. Some about wolves. Some about lost brothers. Some about the old ones. The builders, the riders, the emperors. No one calls them Romans. They call them the tall men, or the stone people, or the ones who named the stars. The stars still shine. The patterns remain, but no one maps them. A boy finds a coin in the dirt. He brings it to his father. The face is worn, the letters unclear. The father nods. Keep it. Might bring luck. The boy hides it under his pillow. He dreams of men in armor, of roads lined with fire, of voices speaking words he does not know. A traveler passes through. He speaks a rough Latin. The villagers understand enough. He asks for bread. He gives news. He says, there is still a Rome far east, but different. They nod, but do not ask where. The traveler leaves. They forget his name. The next day, the sheep escape. A child chases them through the old plaza. The stones echo underfoot. A cracked fountain watches. No water flows. Time moves slowly here. Nothing is built high. Nothing stands long. But the land remembers. Each spring, new flowers bloom among the ruins. Red and yellow. They grow through cracks in marble, along the edge of roads, beside the bones of columns. People pick them for their homes. They do not wonder why they grow so well. They only smile and say, it is good land. And it is, even now, even after. The monk walks with a staff and a satchel. His robe is plain, wool, coarse, patched, a belt of rope, sandals worn thin. His steps are slow, careful, steady. He does not hurry. In his satchel, he carries bread, dried figs, a flask of water, and a book. The book is bound in leather. The cover is faded. The pages are thick. Inside, lines of ink stretch across the parchment. Names, places, dates, drawings. He calls it a record. Each morning, he prays. Then he walks. He follows old roads, some still whole, some broken. He uses a stick to test the stones ahead. He passes arches without names, walls without guards, fields where cities once stood. He writes what he sees. One page shows a collapsed gate. Another, a drawing of an old bathhouse with vines across the ceiling. Another, a list of towns, most crossed out. He does not speak often, but when asked, he says he is seeking silence and shapes. He finds both. In one village, he sits near a fountain. It no longer flows. A boy offers him bread. The monk trades a prayer for it. The boy asks what the carvings mean. The monk says, they once told a story. The boy asks what kind. The monk replies, a long one. In another town, he stays in a room built inside an old temple. The columns support a wooden roof. The altar holds a cross. The monk kneels. The echoes sound different here. He copies a carving from the wall. A scene of men on horses, shields round, eyes blank. He labels it unknown cavalry. He drinks from a stream that once fed an aqueduct. The remains of the channel run beside him for a mile, then vanish into a hill. He marks the hill. He passes under a bridge where birds nest. He marks the number of arches. He sketches the pattern of the bricks. He counts the steps to the top. He finds coins in the dirt. He presses them into wax. One shows a faded emperor, another, a symbol he does not know. In the margin, he writes, "From before." In a ruined forum, he sits on a broken column. The wind moves gently. A leaf falls beside him. He watches it settle, then draws it in the corner of the page. He listens to people speak, words half Latin, half other. He notes them. He writes how domus becomes doma, how potter becomes padre, how aqua becomes o. He does not judge. He only records. One night, he sleeps beneath an old statue. The face is gone, the hands broken. He places a candle at its feet, not to worship, just to see. He wakes to rain. He writes how the drops sound different on stone than on wood. He visits a church built inside a theater. The pews sit where crowds once shouted. The altar stands where actors once performed. He kneels. The roof leaks. A priest there asks him why he walks. The monk answers, "So the world is not forgotten." The priest gives him wine. The monk writes that it is sweet. In another town, he finds a family living inside a bath. They sleep where people once soaked. The walls are warm in the sun. The mother tells him their baby was born in the caldarium. He blesses the child, then writes, "Life grows in the shell." He keeps walking. One page records birds nesting in a crumbled dome. Another, a cat sleeping on a fallen shield. Another, a sentence overheard. "My grandfather said the sky once belonged to Rome." He does not ask what it means. He only writes it down. At night, he sits by firelight and reads his book. He turns the pages slowly. He adds a note in the back. The empire is gone, but the shape remains. He draws a spiral, then walks again. The road continues. So does he. Far to the east, the sea glitters beneath a rising sun. Walls stretch high above the harbor, triple layers, stone thick and clean. Towers crowned with banners. Guards still pace the tops. Shields polished. Spears upright. This is Constantinople. They still call it Rome, not in name, but in pride, in ritual, in law. The emperors here wear purple, speak Latin in court, and claim descent from Caesar. Their coins still bear the eagle. The streets are full. Merchants shout in Greek. Soldiers walk in pairs. Cloaks trimmed with gold. A priest swings incense before a chapel. A scribe leans over a table, copying laws line by line. The aqueducts here still run. The forums bustle. Statues still stand. Some new, some from the old world. A few bear the names of forgotten men. Maximus, Aurelian, Diocletian. No one asks who they were. The emperor sits in a marble hall. Columns rise to a gilded ceiling. Light filters through colored glass. He listens to petitions. He raises his hand. He speaks rarely. He wears a crown of jeweled gold. His robe brushes the floor. A servant carries the scrolls before him. Another carries the ink. Another, a folded handkerchief. The court watches with still faces. Every motion is ceremony, every step a signal. Behind the palace, a garden blooms. Fountains trickle. Birds sing in olive trees. No ruins here, just patterns in stone. Just order, but order costs. The people whisper in alleys, of taxes, of spies, of trials behind closed doors, of laws with sharp edges. One baker says he cannot afford flour. He lowers his voice, looks behind him. A sailor from the west speaks of ruins. He says Rome is broken, that no one answers the gates, that children play in the shadow of statues. The listener laughs, but does not ask for more. At the library, a scholar copies maps. The lines grow fainter. The edges blur. The west is no longer clear. He marks some cities with question marks, others with crosses. He sharpens his quill, keeps writing. A bishop stands before the crowd. He raises a hand, speaks of strength, of God's plan, of how Rome will never fall. They nod. They pray. They do not mention the silence from the provinces. They do not mention the roads no longer traveled. They do not speak of the Western boy emperor who vanished like smoke. In a quiet room, a clerk opens a sealed letter. It is late, weeks late. He reads, frowns, then files it. No one will ask for it. At night, the palace glows with lamplight. Music echoes through its halls. Dancers twirl in silks. Cups overflow. A toast is made. To the eternal empire. The hall cheers. But one servant, older, stands still. He remembers a different Rome. He once saw the old city. Its stones now broken. Its silence thick. He says nothing. He just pours the wine. In the cathedral, candles burn before gold icons. The floor reflects them. The hymns rise soft. The arches high. A child stares at the dome above. Painted stars. Painted angels. He asks, "Is this heaven?" His mother says yes. She does not say what lies beyond the walls. Outside, the sea rolls gently. Ships come and go. Flags flutter. Orders are barked. Goods move in crates. But not all roads lead here anymore, and not all who arrive bring respect. A trader from the north spits near a statue. A guard sees, says nothing. The days pass. The masks stay on. The gold still shines. The words are still Latin, but less. Greek grows stronger. The names change. The prayers deepen. Constantinople still calls itself Rome, but it is a new Rome, shaped by survival, clothed in memory, rooted in ritual, and behind its strength, somewhere deep, the wind whispers, as it did in the west, of the quiet to come. The wind across the northern forests carries the smell of smoke and pine. A boy walks with his father. Wrapped in fur, the ground crunches underfoot. Behind them, horses pull sleds. Women carry baskets. Children ride on shoulders. They are Goths, not yet raiders, not yet feared, just a tribe on the move. The river near their home froze too early. The fields grew thin. Wolves came too close. The elders said the time had come. Southward. They do not speak Latin. They do not know the names of emperors, but they know the stories of warm lands, of roads without mud, of cities where the wells never dry. So they walk. They pass ruins along the way, stones too straight to be natural, columns half buried in moss. A boy touches the stone and asks, "Did giants live here?" The elder answers, "No, just men with too much time." In the woods, they meet others, vandals, quiet and thin. One shares dried meat. Another trades cloth for salt. No one draws a blade, not yet. At night, they tell stories around the fire. One man says he saw a Roman city once. He says the streets were paved, the walls tall. The guards wore bronze, but their eyes looked tired. He says they did not stop him. The next day, they cross a road made of stone. The path is smooth, though cracked. It stretches beyond the trees. The chieftain says, "Follow it. Southward." Some say they are invaders. Others say they are survivors in a Roman fort along the border. A soldier watches them come. He writes a letter to his brother. He says, "They do not seem angry, just cold, just hungry." He does not send the letter. There is no one left to carry it. The general in the nearby town meets with his officers. They argue. One says, "Drive them back." Another says, "Let them through. Better to feed them than fight them." No decision is made. So the tribes arrive. First small groups, then more. They do not burn. They ask. They trade. They wait. The Romans build camps. They draw maps. They sharpen their blades. A Gothic boy learns Latin from a merchant's daughter. He says water with the wrong accent. She laughs. He laughs too. In the mountains, the Huns gather. They do not ask. They ride. Black horses, bows curved like horns, words like fire, faces hard. They do not settle. They burn. A Roman town smokes behind them. The walls cracked. The gates shattered. The people gone. The Goths see this. They remember. They begin to question. They ask, if Rome cannot stop them, what does Rome protect? The Roman governors argue again. Some demand war. Others say, we are tired. A Gothic leader is invited to a feast. He arrives, sits, watches the gold cups, the roasted lamb, the trembling host. He eats nothing. He says, "You fear us more than we fear you." Then he leaves. A woman in a Roman village gives bread to a Vandal child. She tells him to stay quiet. She tells him to learn fast. The child does. Years later, he will wear Roman boots and fight under a Roman flag. But he will speak his own name and remember the cold wind. A Roman fort near the river welcomes a Gothic tribe. They are allowed to settle on the far side of the water. The general signs a scroll. He smiles, but his fingers tremble. The Goths agree to guard the border. In return, they get land, grain, shelter. It is not a gift. It is a deal made out of fear. The Roman officer tasked with distribution counts the bags of grain. There are not enough. He says nothing. He writes a false number on the scroll. The Goths wait and wait. Hunger grows faster than patience. The Roman townspeople look at the newcomers with unease. They lock their doors earlier, speak in whispers, tell their children not to stare. The Gothic leader asks again for supplies. His envoy returns empty-handed. The next day, a skirmish breaks out near the well. No one is killed, but someone is struck. The line has been crossed. In a marble hall far from the border, senators argue. One says, "They are guests." Another says, "They are wolves in cloaks." The emperor nods, but his eyes stay low. His fingers drum the arm of his throne. He signs another order. More grain. Too late. In the Gothic camp, the fires burn lower, the voices grow sharper. A mother boils water with no roots inside. A boy cries. A soldier offers him half a biscuit. He takes it and does not say thank you. The chieftain meets with his captains. He says, "They feed us lies, not food." The captains nod. They speak of old battles, of broken trust, of the Roman pride. The next day, a Roman patrol disappears. 2 days later, the governor's villa burns. He is not inside. The Romans retaliate. They raid a Gothic hut. They arrest 3 men. One of them is innocent. The officer does not care. Whispers spread. The line is no longer a line. It is a field of smoke. A Gothic warband crosses the river at night. They do not shout. They do not wear banners. They move between the trees, silent as wolves. A Roman town wakes to flames. The garrison resists. A captain rallies his men. He says, "For Rome." They fight with discipline, with training, with armor, but the Goths do not fight like soldiers. They fight like men with nothing to lose. By morning, the walls are blackened. The temple has no roof. The square is full of ash. The survivors walk south. They do not look back. A letter arrives in the capital. It says the province is lost. The emperor reads it. He places it beside 2 others, then 4, then 7. He does not weep. He does not speak. He simply closes the window. In the east, a merchant closes his shop early. He speaks of rumors, of burning cities, of broken roads. He sharpens his knife, not for sale, but for safety. A bishop in a coastal town gives a sermon. He speaks of judgment, of punishment. He says the walls of pride are crumbling. He tells the people to repent. They do not argue. They kneel. They light candles, but they do not look outside. A Roman boy trains in the barracks. He is 17. He wears his father's armor. It does not fit. He holds his sword with both hands. The trainer says, "Your enemy is not just hungry. He is angry." The boy nods, but his hands shake. In a forest clearing, the Gothic leader stands beside a tree. He holds a Roman coin between his fingers. He tosses it into the dirt. He says, "They think gold buys peace. It only delays war." The men around him nod. One lights a torch. Another sharpens a spear. Another closes his eyes and whispers a name he has not spoken in years. The road behind them is smoke. The road ahead is open, and Rome does not yet see what walks toward it. The city gates close at dusk. Not with ceremony, with silence. Guards check the hinges. Blacksmiths patch the bars. Children watch from rooftops. Their parents pull them back inside. Rumors move faster than truth. Some say the Goths have taken 3 towns. Some say 5. One man claims he saw their camp. Thousands of fires, stretching like stars across the hills. No one believes him, but no one laughs. The governor sends for soldiers from the east. The messenger rides out. No one expects him to return. In the market square, booths are shuttered. A few traders still whisper behind blankets. Bread costs triple. Wine vanishes. Salt is guarded like silver. A woman sells boiled roots. She does not look up. An old statue of Mars stands near the forum. Someone ties a ribbon around its sword. Someone else spits on the base. The mood is not panic. It is worse. It is waiting. The bishop calls for prayer. The church fills with candlelight. The walls echo with hymns. He speaks of strength, of trials, of the eternal city. His voice does not waver, but his hands tremble when he lifts the book. In the barracks, young men polish helmets that once belonged to their grandfathers. The leather inside is dry, the straps fray. One boy laughs nervously. Another sharpens a blade until the stone cracks. The captain walks among them. He does not smile. He says, "They know these walls. Some helped build them." He points at the gate. They remember what side it opens from. At night, the city listens. No horns, no drums, just the wind. Just the long, quiet breath of a place remembering how to fear. The governor's council meets behind thick doors. They argue. One wants to surrender. One wants to negotiate. Another suggests setting fire to the fields outside. The governor says nothing. He holds a coin between 2 fingers. Silver. Clean. He rolls it once, then places it in a cup. It makes no sound. A family digs in their cellar. The father hides dried meat beneath the floor. The mother wraps coins in cloth. The daughter watches the wall. She thinks she hears voices. She does not mention it. In the upper quarters, a merchant gathers scrolls. He burns half, hides the rest. He closes the shutters and prays, not to the gods, to luck. In the garden near the forum, statues watch the stars. One is missing a head. Another leans forward as if listening. The city was once a prize. Now it is a question. Outside the walls, a group of riders waits in shadow. They do not speak. They do not shout. One dismounts and walks to the gate. He places something on the ground. A Roman sword, broken at the hilt. Then he turns and vanishes into the dark. A guard sees it. He does not move. He just grips the wall, harder than before. Morning breaks with no warning. A horn sounds once, low and long, then silence. The guards on the wall look toward the trees. Movement, shadows, smoke in the distance. They do not shout. They wait. In the streets below, word spreads fast. Doors shut. Shops close. Buckets are filled. Ropes are tied. Arrows counted. Children are kept inside. One man climbs to the roof of his home and watches. He says nothing, just watches. Outside, the first group appears. Riders, slow, unhurried. No banners, no armor shining. Just shapes moving forward like a tide. The captain at the gate counts them, then stops counting. He turns to his men. They are not here to talk. The gates hold. For now, the city prepares. Every hand is needed. Bakers become water carriers. Merchants stack stones beside archers. A teacher sharpens stakes. A musician digs a ditch. The priest blesses each one, not with promises of victory, just with presence. He says, "What we build now is memory." The first arrow lands near the wall. It does not wound, but it is the beginning. By nightfall, more come. Then rocks, then fire. The guards fight in shifts. Some fall, others hold. Oil is poured. Stones are dropped. The gate creaks. Inside the city, something else breaks. A rumor spreads that someone opened a small door near the river, that the enemy already walks among them. No proof. But panic does not wait for proof. A family is dragged into the square. They once traded with the Goths. Now that is enough. They are locked in the chapel for safety or punishment. No one agrees. The bishop tries to calm the crowd. His voice is loud, but not louder than fear. That night, the fire reaches the outer stalls. Flames lick the walls. Smoke enters homes. The bell rings once. Then again. The old man with the broken leg is carried to the square. A mother leaves her house with only her child and a book. The city does not sleep. Outside, the enemy waits. Inside, time stretches. In the early hours, the gate shakes, hard, then again. Wood cracks, iron groans. The captain gathers every remaining fighter. He says, "Do not protect the walls. Protect each other." They form a line. The young, the old, the ready, the afraid. The gate does not break, but it remembers the pressure. Dawn returns. Ash floats in the air. The attack pauses. For now. Inside the chapel, the family is gone. No one saw who took them. The bishop weeps. He does not speak at prayer. He just opens the book and lets the wind turn the pages. The people gather in the square. They eat from the same pot. They share water. They say nothing. Not because they have nothing to say, but because the noise is already too much. Above them, a statue of a Roman soldier stands with one arm broken. The other still holds a shield. They look at it, then go back to work. The boy does not remember leaving. One moment, he stood in the square, smoke in his eyes. The next, he was running. His sandals scraped stone. His breath caught. His hand gripped a coin, though he did not know why. The city burned behind him. The northern gate had broken, not with glory, with quiet failure. The enemy did not charge. They entered like wind, slow, inevitable. Now he walks, dust on his legs, soot in his hair. No destination, only distance. He passes fields of dry stalks, empty wells, roads cracked from time, not battle. He hears a bird sing once. It startles him. His name is Marcus. He remembers that much. He reaches a farm at dusk. The barn is gone. The door hangs sideways. He finds a jug of water beneath the floorboards. He drinks, sleeps, dreams of bells. In the morning, he walks again. A wagon passes, 2 wheels, 1 mule. A woman and her child ride in back. The woman offers bread. He takes it. She says nothing. Later, he meets a man with a limp. The man says he was once a soldier. He carries no sword, only a blanket. They share a fire for one night. The man speaks of rivers, of cities that still stand. He draws a map in the dirt, then leaves before sunrise. Marcus follows the direction. He finds another road, Roman stone, cracked but straight. Weeds grow between the blocks. He walks it for 2 days. No one else walks it. On the 3rd day, he finds a shrine, small, stone carved into a square, a broken statue inside, half a god, name rubbed away. He lights a match and leaves it burning, a habit he does not understand. In a village, he trades a copper coin for dried figs. The man who takes it flips it twice before nodding. "You are lucky," he says. Marcus does not feel lucky. He keeps moving. One night, he hears music in the distance. A flute, maybe. A drum. He follows it and finds travelers by a fire. Not Romans, not soldiers, just people. They offer him stew. He eats. They tell stories in a language he barely understands. One woman sings. One boy juggles stones. They do not ask where he is from. They know the answer already. In the morning, he is gone before they wake. He passes a burned fort. Ivy crawls up its walls. He finds a helmet, black with ash. He does not touch it. At a stream, he sees his reflection, older than he remembers. Dirt under his nails, a cut on his cheek. He touches it, then looks away. That night, he sleeps under a fallen arch. The stars blink above him. He thinks of the statue in the city square, the soldier with one arm. He thinks of the people in the chapel. He thinks of the gate. The wind moves through the stones. He does not cry. He just breathes. In the days that follow, he learns which trees carry fruit, which trails curve toward water. He finds a piece of pottery shaped like a cup. He keeps it, not for use, just to hold. In a town near the hills, he hears a word he has not heard in weeks: Rome. A man says it softly, not with pride, with memory. Marcus turns. He listens. The man speaks of laws that no one follows anymore, of bridges no one repairs, of statues that wear the names of strangers. He says, "Rome is a story we keep telling." Marcus nods. He does not speak. He does not need to. He walks on. The hills rise ahead. Mist rolls down the slopes. The road bends gently, and the boy keeps moving, not toward anything, but away from everything. In the southern provinces, the city gates never fall. They simply stop opening. The roads to the capital grow quiet. Couriers vanish. Seals fade. Letters remain unopened. The governor of one coastal city wakes early each morning, dresses in his robes, and walks to the forum. He sits beneath the colonnade and waits for instructions. None arrive. On the 3rd week, he stops wearing the sash. On the 4th, he stops going outside. The statues in the square gather dust. The temple doors are closed. A dog sleeps beneath the sundial. No one moves it. A merchant from the east passes through with silks and spices. He says he comes for Roman coin. He leaves with goats instead. No one complains. The city still functions, but differently. The baker answers to the priest. The guards answer to the wealthiest farmer. The markets open at sunrise, but no longer wait for permission. A boy scribbles on the wall. Rome is not dead. It is just somewhere else. No one erases it. In the mountains, a garrison holds its post. 20 men. Faded shields. No pay in months. They guard a road no one travels. The captain keeps a logbook. It is mostly empty. One entry reads, "Saw smoke to the north. Stayed inside." Another says, "Repaired the gate." Again. The younger soldiers whisper at night. One says, "Do we still serve the empire?" Another replies, "We serve the wall." No one laughs. In the port towns, ships no longer carry Roman banners. Flags are red, green, striped, or bare. A captain docks, loads grain, pays in northern coin, and sails before dusk. The harbor master records nothing. He simply nods. In one inland city, the aqueduct breaks. Not from war, from time. The water slows, then stops. People gather around the basin. They wait. Then they leave. No repairs are made. The engineer packs his tools and walks east. He does not say goodbye. In a villa surrounded by fields, a retired senator reads old scrolls. His eyes are dim. His hands shake. He writes notes in the margin. He drinks wine he did not grow. At night, he speaks Latin verses aloud. Not for anyone, just to remember the sound. A Roman teacher writes the alphabet in dust for 3 students. He says, "This is how power remembers itself." The children do not respond. One draws a bird instead. In another town, a local leader declares himself protector. He wears a Roman cloak, builds a wooden fort, collects taxes in wheat and salt. He sends no word to the capital. He does not know who sits on the throne. He does not care. In a chapel, a young man gives a sermon. He says, "The empire was strong, but the soul is stronger." The people listen. They nod. They pray, but none of them wear togas. The forge in the center of town melts down a broken statue. The metal becomes plows, nails, knives. No one asks who the statue was. It does not matter. On the wall of a crumbling courthouse, someone carves a line with a nail. This place belonged to Rome. Now it belongs to time. The letters are shallow, but clear. In the distance, hills rise into mist. Villages blink like stars. Quiet, distant, alive in their own rhythm. The empire still exists. In names, in stones, in habits, but not in orders, not in reach, not in unity. And no one seems surprised. The throne still stands, but no one kneels. In a hall, lined with faded banners, a boy sits on the imperial seat. His name is Romulus. His hands are small. His feet do not touch the floor. He is emperor, only in name. The man beside him is tall, armored, silent. He speaks to the court, gives orders, signs scrolls. The boy watches, nods when told, smiles when expected. He does not understand the words, but he wears the crown. The generals whisper in corners. They play a slow game, shifting power, trading oaths. One promises land, another promises safety. A third promises nothing, but waits longest. The people outside do not cheer. They do not riot. They simply go on. A baker makes bread. A mother mends cloth. A merchant counts foreign coins. No one asks what the emperor's name is. No one cares. In another city, a man calls himself emperor too. He wears gold, holds feasts, stamps coins with his face. His army follows him until it doesn't. He vanishes before winter. No one writes down where he went. The Senate still meets. Fewer seats are filled. The marble is cracked. Pigeons nest in the eaves. A speaker stands and reads a decree. No one responds. He reads it again, then sits. In the Eastern Empire, the court thrives. There are processions, rituals, silk robes, but their letters to the West go unanswered. Messengers vanish. Roads are gone. Names are misspelled. The East stops writing. The emperor in the West receives no gifts and sends none. Romulus wakes early, eats figs, learns letters, practices speeches. The tutor tells him about Augustus, Trajan, Marcus Aurelius. The boy listens, then draws soldiers in the margin. Outside, the guard drills with wooden swords. Fewer each month. Armor rusts. Rations thin. They do not salute anymore. They nod. One day, a letter arrives from a warlord. It does not threaten. It suggests. The man beside the boy reads it, then burns it. The boy asks what it said. The man says, "Nothing new." Later, the same warlord rides to the gates. He does not carry a weapon. He wears no crown. But he enters without resistance. In the hall, the man beside the boy steps aside. The boy stands. The warlord kneels, not to honor, but to observe. He looks into the boy's eyes, then says, "Enough." A scroll is signed. The title is surrendered. The boy is led away, not in chains, but quietly. A cart waits beyond the walls. It carries him to a villa, far from cities, far from halls. He will live in comfort, learn to farm, hear stories about who he used to be. No one visits. No one asks him to return. In the capital, the throne is left empty. No new emperor is crowned. The banners fade. The court scatters. A guard locks the gate and drops the key into the river. 10 years pass, then 50, then 100. Rome does not disappear. It dissolves. The forums are quiet. Stone benches crack. Vines creep across marble. The columns still stand, but lean slightly. Birds nest where senators once argued. No one cleans the floor. No one writes new laws. In the city center, the aqueducts dry. The water no longer flows. Children play beneath the arches, unaware of what once moved above them. They build fires with scraps. They chase goats where fountains once sang. No one remembers how the system worked. A man tries to rebuild a pipe. It crumbles in his hands. He walks away. The old roads stretch out in every direction, smooth, clever, proud. Some are still used. Others sink into fields. Farmers plant beside them. Traders follow them without knowing why. At a crossroads, a stone marker lies half buried. The letters are worn. A child asks what it says. The elder shrugs. He says, "It pointed somewhere long ago." In villages, people speak Latin, mixed with new words. A mother teaches her son how to count. She does not call it Roman, just counting. The laws are gone, but the habits remain. People build with right angles. They stack bricks with Roman rhythm. They carve symbols they no longer read. They bury their dead in quiet rows, just as they always did. Not out of loyalty, out of repetition. In a distant town, a man owns a book copied from another book, copied from a Roman scroll. He cannot read it, but he keeps it dry. He calls it important. A monk visits once a year. He reads the first line aloud, then closes it. He says, "Too valuable to use." In a ruined villa, moss covers the floor. Ivy covers the walls. A fresco of a goddess still watches the room. Her face is chipped. Her hand is gone, but her eyes remain. A traveler sleeps beneath her gaze. He does not know her name, but he sleeps well. In the countryside, a stone bridge spans a shallow river, built centuries before, still standing. Cartwheels pass over it. Horses drink beside it. No one asks who built it. They just say, "It was always here." The name Rome becomes soft, used in stories, used in prayers, used as a warning. "The roads of Rome," says one man, "led everywhere." Another replies, "They also led away." A woman keeps an iron key around her neck. She says it once opened a Roman gate. She does not know which gate or what city, but she keeps it close. For weight, for memory, for something unnamed. On a hill outside a broken city, sheep graze between columns. A shepherd watches the sky. He sings. His voice echoes off stone. He sings in his own tongue. But the melody is old. In a cellar, someone finds a Roman helmet. They place it on a shelf, then forget. In the east, the empire continues, different, richer, still calling itself Roman. But even there, the western lands become myth, distant, broken, echoes wrapped in dust. In a church, a candle flickers beside a cracked statue. A visitor kneels. He does not know the god. He just feels something heavy in the air. He closes his eyes, listens, and says nothing. The empire is gone, but not erased. In small chapels and tall cathedrals, people kneel. They do not pray to Jupiter. They pray to one god. But the walls are still Roman. The arches still curve with Roman rhythm. The candles flicker in niches once meant for statues. A priest reads aloud from a book copied by hand. The letters curve in Latin. Few understand every word, but the sound is familiar. In towns far from Rome, people speak languages born from the empire. Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, each a child of Latin, each carrying echoes. A man says aqua, another says eau, another says agua. Different tongues, same root. In courts across the continent, laws are written in scrolls based on Roman codes. Judges wear robes, use terms centuries old, not for memory, for structure. The shape of law remains, even if the names do not. In schools, children learn letters in Roman order. A, B, C. They write with pens, on paper, but the idea of writing rules and keeping records, that came with Rome. A bricklayer in a mountain village builds a wall with straight lines, clean angles. He does not call it Roman engineering, but he measures with a tool first used in the empire. A road crew in the east repairs an ancient stone path. They say it is for trade, but the path was laid by Roman hands. They follow it because it still works. A woman teaches her daughter to count. I, 2, the third. She does not know why the numbers look like that, but she teaches them anyway. A church bell rings at noon. The calendar says March. The day is counted in weeks, in months, in years that trace back to emperors and councils. The system holds, not because of belief, but because it was built well. In a quiet monastery, monks copy books by candlelight. They keep Roman texts alongside religious ones. They do not read them daily, but they do not throw them away. In the architecture of cities, the design of squares, of halls, of courtyards, the logic is Roman. The stones may be new. The vision is not. A leader signs a law with a seal. A soldier marches in a straight line. A poet writes about virtue and power. Each action carries a fingerprint. They do not call it Roman, but it is. In the ruins, children play among the columns. They do not see loss. They see balance. The stones do not mourn. They stand, cracked, tilted, silent, but still standing. A teacher tells a story about Rome, not a myth, not a legend, a story about roads and laws and buildings. He says, Rome fell, then adds, but it also stayed. A student asks how. The teacher points to the page, then the wall, then the window. He says, it stayed in us. The bell rings. The class ends. The page remains open. The Middle Ages begin quietly. No horn sounds. No date is marked. Just forests growing over roads, villages building with wood instead of stone, old titles fading from use. People do not say, the empire is gone. They say, that was before the gates closed, before the aqueducts dried, before the governors stopped writing back. Now, time is counted in harvests, in winters survived, in candles burned low. The cities shrink, some vanish, others become shadows. A few houses beside a broken wall, a market where a forum once stood. No one sweeps the marble, moss does it instead. In the countryside, power belongs to those with food, with swords, with words people trust. A noble owns land. A priest owns memory. A blacksmith owns fire. Each builds something, but not everything. Not yet. Castles rise, small, then tall, then many. Each one its own world. No more empire to unite them. just fences, flags, and fear. Monasteries become centers of knowledge. Inside stone walls, monks read by firelight. They copy books with care. A few Roman texts survive. Others are lost forever. No one cries when a scroll turns to dust. There is no time for mourning, only work. In a mountain pass, a traveler sees a road vanish into mist. He follows it for a day, then it ends at a stone wall. No sign, no name, just silence. He turns back, but the shape of the road stays in his mind. A pattern. In a small chapel, a priest lifts a chalice. He does not call it Roman, but the shape is ancient. The idea is older than the wood. In towns, people celebrate saints instead of emperors. But the order of ceremony, the rhythm of days, it still follows an old beat, invisible, strong. A young boy learns to write. His first letter is R, not for Rome, for rain. But the letter shape is the same. In a field, a farmer digs into the soil and strikes stone. He brushes away dirt, a tile, a piece of mosaic, a corner of a face. He calls the others. They look, then cover it again. They are not afraid, just busy. At a riverbank, a child builds a small wall with pebbles. He does not know the word aqueduct, but his hands remember something. The pattern, the instinct, the curve. In time, kingdoms will rise, banners will fly, new empires will form, but all of them will walk roads first laid by Rome, not because they remember, but because forgetting is never complete. In every tower, in every book, in every law that names a right, there is a whisper, a shape, a ghost, not of kings, but of stones stacked well, and voices written down. In the end, Rome did not fall. It became soil, beneath boots, beneath prayers, beneath the silence between words. And in that soil, things still grow. Thanks for watching. Have a nice sleep. When you wake up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sleepy History.